Nocking points. I'm going to actually do a tie on nocking point so you can see how I do a tie on. So we cut a bit of the cord. I've got a bit of hot melt stick. Any type of hot melt glue will work. In fact, this one's not the best. A softer one would be better. And all I'm doing is I'm rubbing the string through. You can see there I'm making the lines. I'm just rubbing the hot melt glue stick through the... So I'm trying to coat this bit of string with hot melt glue. I think I've got a fair bit on. Now it'd be better if I used the softer one, but this is what I had. So now my first tie, so I just put the string on. My first tie is the tie you do with your shoelace, just a half a tie, like that. Nice simple tie, and then I pull it, pull the ends until they're nice and tight, and the base is touching that line there, the second line up. Right, so I've done the one tie. Now I do a tie on the back. I can actually remove this. Now we're going to go under, so I'm going to go another tie, but this time it's going to be moving down the arrow. Then we're going to do one on top. Then one on the bottom. And then one back on the top again. Now the numbers you do, the number of times is just up to you. I do about this many. Now some people finish with a double knot system, but for this case I'm just going to do that. Now we cut the little ends off here. So we cut that. So there's still a little bit of a tail left. There's a tail on both sides left off. Grab the cigarette lighter, and now we just burn the tails. Try not to burn the string. Now you can see those tails have been burnt off nicely. Now there's glue on this little red thing here. There's glue on there. So what we're going to do, you don't want the flame touching it, but you want to heat up the hot melt glue which is on that red stuff, because you want that glue to kind of melt itself in, and the only way it's going to sort of melt in is if it gets warm. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so we've done the one nocking point. Now I grab my arrow, I put the arrow above. Now we're going to repeat the same process with a nocking point above. So we cut the string, we rub the glue onto it, and any hot melt glue would be fine. And some people I know use instant glue for this purpose. Just instant glue doesn't set until you physically touch it sometimes. So I prefer to use hot melt. And right now you're feeling pretty good because you've almost put the bow together and you're almost ready to shoot. And that's what it's all about, shooting arrows. Right. So again, go above. Now, how close do you go with the nocking point? I always just leave a small gap, but not much of a gap. because there may be a little bit, you don't want these nocking points touching the arrow because otherwise it could cause pinching. So I always have a little gap. So pull it nice and tight, then on the back, and you're moving up the string. Like so, then on the top. Like so. So now there's actually 2 knots, so there's one on the bottom, one on the top. We go on the back again. Now for doing D loops, some people do this with D loops. I'll just finish it off with one on the top. There's that, that's finished. Once again, same process, cut the ends. Cut the ends and then burn them off and you're ready to literally shoot. Burn the other one. So if you didn't have a bow square at home, you can just use a normal square. You can use your eyes to see if it's square. Now the advantage of using a brass nocking points versus material, brass ones are easy to fit and quicker and easier to adjust. I find these don't adjust that well. So that's that finished and that's what it looks like just there.